I was born and raised in the Toga tribe in Tanzania. Of course, they have their own religion, and I said, Jesus, I heard so much about you from people, but I never experienced you. I want to see you. Are you really existing? Hello everyone, my name is Brighton Ammy. I was born and raised in the Toga tribe in Tanzania. My mom is Masai, where these both tribes are nomadic groups, which means they are living, shifting from one place to another, searching for the green pasture when they find like they don't have the green pasture for their cows. So being born and raised over there, our life has been really in the bush and contact to the nature, and yeah, we used just to take care, as our responsibility is to take care of the cows in the bush. And this happened one time. My brother, he came to get the friends who they have been able to read and writing, and then this has come to realize through when they were playing the cards. It's kind of the games. And afterwards, my brother, he escaped from our family, and then he went to a little village just next from where we used to stay, and this is where he started to get a chance to go to school, simply because the Maasai or this barbaric, they don't allow their kids to go to school at all, simply because they believe if they allow kids to meet with other community, they will be polluted, they will be distracted, the cultural things should be new, and then they don't want to, like for them they call it pollution. But actually this is how they believe. Then afterwards, after 2 years, my brother, he didn't come back. Then he came back after 2 years to our family, back to our parents' place. And then he stayed with us with 2 weeks, and then he was about to go back. So he didn't want our parents to realize that he wanted to go back again for school. And this is the moment he asked me to escort him, like just a little distance, so that our parents could not realize that he's about to leave. So we walked together. After a certain point, he asked me, and then I said, okay, now I want to go back home. But he said, no, you should go with me. I just take you not to escort me, but I want to take you to school. And I was starting to cry because our parents doesn't allow us to go away from them. And I was crying, but he took the stick and said, if you're not going with me, I'm going to beat you. And this is the moment I was really start to cry, but I have no option. I started to walk away from my family. So we walked down to this place he was schooling and put me to the house of the teacher. And then he left. I didn't know where he went. And that's the moment, very hard time. I was born and come to see new things. The cultural shock was so huge to me because I never slept on the mattress before. And then coming, I was like, just try to see, what is this smooth thing? I was trying to press, am I really going to trust this? And it was so very hard to me to sleep on the mattress for the first time because I was sleeping on the animal skin. Then after he left, it was so hard, but later on I came to adapt, and then I started the primary school, 7 years without going back home. And this is the moment I hated school so much. And I was trying to escape every day, but I couldn't make it because the teacher, he was very careful with me, and then spent most of the time with his kids. So 2009, teacher passed away, and this I get the freedom. And I'm like, okay, let me go back home. So I escaped from the house of the teacher and I went back to where I left my parents 7 years ago. I couldn't find them. It was so sad, but I have no chance because, no choice, because the nomads always shifting. So my parents was already shifting and going to another place where they could search for the green pasture for their cows. So I come back to the house of the teacher. And because I was staying in the village where they used to have this kind of market regularly 2 times per month, so it was the time of the market at the village where I met with my tribe mate and I asked, do you know where my parents is? They say, yeah, sure, somewhere else. So I started to walk with him again back to my parents, and then I find them albums. I was so super excited. So I stayed with my parents for around like 2 years, 2009 to 2011. And then afterwards, I heard that we are about to receive a guest, and those guest was missionary. It was the time I was already completed my primary school. So this missionary arrived, and there was a language barrier between my parents and the missionary. And because I was good already, I've been to school, I started to translate. And then they asked to stay with us for 4 days. That was Wednesday to Sunday. So they stayed with us. Among the team, there was a Tanzanian local pastor. And then on Sunday, the last day of their mission, he asked me to go with them for schooling. And I said, no, I don't want to go because I hated school still, and I was just recently come back to my family. And then he said, okay, you have to tell your parents, if they don't allow you to go with us for schooling, then we're going to call police for them because it's illegal in Tanzania for the kids, for my age, that age, that I have, not to be at school. And this is the point I told my dad, and my dad, I remember he said, so ask them, how many kids do they want? And he said, only you. Only me? Then my daddy was like, okay, you can take him, just go with him. And then the second time I was so heartbroken, but I had no choice. I started to walk away from my family for the second time. So we walked together. On the way they told me about Jesus. I couldn't understand at all about Christianity or whatever. But yeah, we arrived to this city called the Ringa, where this pastor used to be, to stay. And they put me to the house of the pastor, and I was staying with the pastor. Pastor take care of me like his son, and we were different tribe, but you couldn't look at that at all. He was just treating me like his son with a great love. Then he took me to secondary school, like kind of the middle school for other places, and then he pays for my school fees, give me clothes and all accommodation, and come back during the holiday as well. So all the time that I was in the Christian school where the pastor sent me for the secondary school, I could never really have the contact with Jesus. But I used to go to, to church and praying before going to sleep and praying before have a meal. Okay, that is the Christianity which I used to know with my pastor. Then, until the point it was evening, where the point we need to remind ourselves what our teacher used to taught us daytime, and we were only students. The girl in our class, she was start screaming like she got this kind of the demon possession, and she was screaming. And because it was a Christian school, every class has got the prayer team. So they took her for the prayer team, to the prayer room. And then I was like, okay, today I want to go to see what's happening over there. And then we walked together. So we walked to the room, and I was wondering, they were just sitting around her, and she was in the middle, and they start to put hand on her and start to pray for her. But something clicked in my mind and reminded me, my pastor used to tell me, before you do anything on behalf of God, repent. And I wasn't serious at all. I was like, okay, this is the formula. Let me go on the corner. So I went to the corner of the room that we were having as a prayer room, and I said, Jesus, I heard so much about you from people, but I never experienced you. I want to see you. Are you really existing? And I remember I wasn't serious at all. I was just doing as a formula that my pastor used to tell me, like, okay, you should repent. Well, then I walked to join the team, and we started to pray, and I was just, because others was laying their hands like this way, and I'm like, okay, this is how other people are doing, so I wanted not to look different, so I just put my hand as well. I started to pray continually, and then I couldn't even remember what I was talking about until this girl, she stood up, and she get okay, and then with me, I ran out of the room, and then I went to my room in the hostel, start to look to my hand. That was me. What's happening with me? And then I was look within the student, we were only regular students, no teacher, no pastor, and I have seen like the one who always praying for the people who sick is the pastor or church elder or someone else. That's the point my heart was turning and start to fear about Jesus. And this is where I really experienced Jesus for the first time, and this is my turning point to be a Christian. Then afterwards, after secondary school, I went to high school. But through this year, the rest of my time in the school, I was start to thinking of how I really wanted my community, my Masai, my Barbeg and the Datoga tribe to get to know Jesus. This when I'm talking of the Barbeg and the Datoga, all these are nomadic groups that is staying just the same life in the bush, like keeping cows. Language is different, but dressing and the music is just the same. We're using the stick, clicking and jumping up. So I was really firing, like I want them to enjoy the salvation as I do. Until this point come, I got on the dream. So I was just sleeping, And then I met this person, just very normal person. And we were walking down to this place, village, where I was studying my primary school. And we were just having the conversation while we walk. And he said, I see how much you're struggling. You want to make your people to know me. So we were up the hill and he showed me down to this plain land. And he said, okay, to this place, you will build the church that is mentioned in my name. And you will build a school that you're going to take the kids from your community and bring them schooling over here. As the time they're schooling, they will get to know me and they will take me to the heart of their parents. And that was like 7 years ago when I was at the high school. Afterwards, I get the opportunity to go to Germany for Bible school, and then I went for my bachelor in India. But all that time was just the same vision, come and come and come. And this is the point until I realized I need to come back. So I come back to Tanzania. And the God was so really honest to me that we got this plot and we bought already. And yeah, so looking back, I come to realize going first time away from my parents at the young age where my brother took me, and the second time with this missionary, I came to conclude that was God himself at work, like preparing me to this community, to this nomadic group especially, which now I'm really find myself. I mean, my call is based to them, like to spread the gospel amongst them. And now I see how I get the peace whenever I'm going out for the outreach and trying to reach them. As I said, I was born and raised to these nomadic groups, which of course they have their own religion, which is based on this kind of the ancestors' belief and animist, I mean, in short, which actually is very different from the way right now I'm believing. Like I was trying to look back, and so coming along with this kind of the belief they have, so it was very hard for me to come back. I mean, after I became a Christian, it was very hard, like to connect back to them, until this point come where they had some problems sometime with this kind of the leaders around, let's say, official from the government that is trying to be corrupted to them. So until I come back this point where I just come back from holiday, and then I found they were very serious on this kind of the case where the cows was about to be fined from every family. And then I talked to the officials, and their cows was not taken anymore. This is where they turn up and they start to look to me and see, okay, now it's important. I mean, they found my necessity to be existing amongst them, you know, before they were really hate me and my parents and all the things because I went away from them. And this is the point where I come along, where I get contact to the children from my community, and we start the kids program where we walk around and take the kids from our family and bring them to the primary school. And now we have like around the 40 kids that they are doing the primary school, and the 8 they're already at the secondary school. But also we have a girls' home, which we do, like we call it like a rescue home, simply because so in our community women are treated very differently, like not like a human being, like a wealth or like a cows or like a goats, like they're equal to this kind of the level. And sometimes the parents used to give their daughters to other people to get married so they can get cows. Some of them, they run away because they don't like to get married in such way. And this is where we create the place for them to call home, and also try to provide a soft skill, like teach them counting and writing both Swahili and English, which is the official language in Tanzania. And the Bible program as well, for kids program. We have a pharmacy, which is a little bit interesting because as we start to save to provide like a pharmaceutical service, especially to the basic medication for cases like malaria. I can remember once there was a girl, she was brought in the pharmacy, and she was really, really serious with the malaria. And the parents was already give up, they thought they lost their daughter. But after giving the anti-malaria, and then after half an hour, she was already feeling like, okay. She started to speak a little bit, and so her mom went out and screaming, my daughter's still alive. So showing that was kind of the turning point that shows how much such service is very important along the community, unless we could be already lost that girl. And afterwards, I didn't really look on what we are earning from the pharmacy, but we see how much we put the input to the community to impact for them to get restore their happiness and really be happy with that. So along with all the things that has been happening, maybe if you look back, I was born and raised to the very primitive life in the bush, where everything was like new for me, coming in, transformed to the new life in the town and in the village. And that was, for me, it was terrible. It's like taking me out of my comfort zone, because I was born, raised over there. Our food is the milk and sometimes the animal blood, but right now I don't tell my parents even to use that, because of simply cows has been treated with some medication which make the blood not safe at all, like the back the time. So you can see I was taken out of my comfort zone, and then coming here and going back again for a second time, and then I was taken again by this missionary. So I might encourage you that God is already at work. What you need is just to find Him. Where is He working? And then you can join Him. He will show you, and you need to listen, because when I look back all these things, then I come to realize wasn't my brother and it wasn't the missionary that I should blame them. No, that was God Himself, who knew us even before we were born, and He knew the purpose of our existence on the earth. So I might encourage you right now, as you listen to me, keep look back and look where God is calling you to, and listen to Him, and He will lead you. What you need is just to trust in Him, and sometimes you might be taken out of the comfort zone that you don't even really, comfort zone is like your home, away from your family, away from your friends, away from the city that you've been born and raised, and you feel comfortable when you're there. But God is still like taking you out of there and bringing you to the new place. So I would really encourage you, find where God is working and join with Him. Thank you so much.